Good evening, everyone. We would like to start the meeting. My name is Josefina Brown. I'm PennDOT's project manager for the Off-Road Valley Road at Lincoln Highway Intersection Improvement Project in Falls and Middletown Township, Bucks County. I, together with the project team, want to welcome all of you to this virtual public meeting. Since this is a virtual meeting, there will be a roll call to introduce the project team members. I now turn to the meeting over Brian Rachel from Pennoni Associates to lead the design engineering firm on the project, to lead us through the project team roll call. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Josefina. As Josefina mentioned, my name is Brian Rachel, and I am the design project manager. I'll now introduce the project team, including members of PennDOT and Pennoni Associates. From PennDOT, we have Pam Johnson, Janet Vogel, and then on the Pennoni side of things, we have Brian Keaveney, Brian Finkelstein, Chris Martin, and Susan Giantonio, who is our sub from NTM. I'll now move into some meeting instructions. So if you have a question during the presentation, we ask that you use the Q&A button at the top right side of the presentation screen. If you click on that and type in your question, as we get to the end of the presentation, all of the questions will be read and responded to. They will not show up until the question and answer period. So try to avoid, if you could please, not posting the same question multiple times. It will be addressed, as I said, as we get to the question and answers period towards the end of the presentation. So the purpose of this meeting is for the public to have an opportunity to ask questions, discuss and provide comments on the proposed Oxford Valley Road at Lincoln Highway Intersection Improvement Project. As far as an agenda for tonight, we'll talk about the project location. We'll look at some existing condition photos. We'll review the project impacts, project description. We'll look at an overview of traffic analysis for the intersections. We'll review the project schedule. We'll review some slides for the construction staging. We'll touch base on the SEPTA route, which runs through the project limits. And then, as I mentioned, we'll open it up to questions. This first graphic is a project location aerial. You have Lincoln Highway, which runs east to west. North Oxford Valley Road runs north and south. It also has a leg that runs east and west over here. And then you have Bristol Oxford Valley Road on the south portion of the project. The red lines represent the limits of work and/or the area that the contractor will have access to when they construct the project. These next few slides are some existing photographs. The first four are at the intersection of North Oxford Valley Road and Lincoln Highway. This is Lincoln Highway looking to the east. I'll just point out in the existing conditions, you have 2 through lanes in each direction, dedicated left turn lanes, and dedicated right turn lanes on 3 of the 4 legs. You'll notice that each of these pictures look very similar, even though they're looking in a different direction. This is Lincoln Highway looking to the west. North Oxford Valley Road looking to the north. And then finally at this intersection, this is North Oxford Valley Road looking to the south. This next photograph is Bristol Oxford Valley Road at North Oxford Valley Road. So this is the southern portion of the project. For those that are familiar with this, Bristol Oxford Valley Road has a stop condition. You have Wawa and the beer distributor on the left, and additional buildings over to the right up here. Again, this is the same location, Bristol Oxford Valley Road at North Oxford Valley Road, looking east down North Oxford Valley Road. This is the area that the majority of the work of the project will take place. This intersection will be realigned, and there'll be the creation of a new signalized intersection, which I'll show on the next couple graphics. This is an overall project improvement graphic. I know that the scale of this is a little bit small. I will state that in the Q&A, at the beginning of the Q&A, I did post a couple links. One is for the project website, and also there's a link to the presentation form. So if you don't have a question answered during this presentation, you have the opportunity afterwards to still post any questions you have and or review any of the graphics that are presented today that will be, again, posted on the project webpage. So I'll go into a couple graphics here that are blow-ups of this overall conditions plan. This first graphic, this is the reconfigured intersection of Lincoln Highway, east and west, North Oxford Valley Road, north and south. So as I mentioned, this intersection is reconstructed at its approaches to Lincoln Highway from the north and south in Falls and Middletown Townships, Bucks County. Improvements at this intersection include widening of both roadways for dual left turn lanes at all four approaches of the intersection, and for a northbound right turn lane, which is here where I have my clicker. Some other things to point out on this graphic, the orange shapes represent new sidewalk and or pedestrian facilities that will be constructed. As you can see here, here's the dual left turn lanes in each direction and that right turn lane. Moving south, this is where Bristol Oxford Valley Road gets turned towards the east and intersects North Oxford Valley Road with a new signalized intersection. There'll be some reconstruction of the Oxford Point Shopping Center entrance that leads into this new signal. There is new access points to the Wawa and beer distributor with a right-in driveway, an out-only driveway, and then a dual access stop condition driveway that will T-intersection with the realigned Bristol Oxford Valley Road. This shape in the middle here represents a stormwater basin that will be constructed as part of the project. And this is a parcel that is a full take. There's nothing on that property at this time except some underground storage facilities. Some additional improvements of the project include modification of curb radii and concrete islands, new curbs, sidewalk, and ADA compliant curb ramps. Existing traffic signals and mast arms will all be replaced. Traffic signal improvements will utilize an adaptive signal system which adjusts the timing of red, yellow, and green lights to accommodate changing traffic patterns and helps ease traffic congestion. There will also be some new drainage structures such as inlets, manholes, and pipes will be installed throughout the project limits. This next slide is an overall traffic analysis of both intersections. So as I mentioned previously, we have the existing intersection of Lincoln Highway and North Oxford Valley Road, and then we have the new signalized intersection of North Oxford Valley Road and Bristol Oxford Valley Road. So what this graphic shows is peak hour delay in the existing and proposed conditions. So existing is the white columns, proposed is the blue columns, and it's in three different periods during the day. It's the AM peak period, midday peak, and PM peak. So if we look at the first intersection, Lincoln Highway and North Oxford Valley Road, in the existing condition, in the AM peak, you experience a delay of approximately 32.6 seconds. So this delay is an average across the entire intersection. There may be a slight more delay in one leg than another, but as an average, you're sitting there for 32.6 seconds. In the proposed condition, it improves to 26.1 seconds. In the midday peak, existing conditions, you experience a delay of 40.8 seconds. It improves to 29.8 seconds. And then in the PM peak, existing condition, you would experience a delay of 42.5 seconds, and it improves to 31.9 seconds. Looking at the new signalized intersection of North Oxford Valley Road and Bristol Oxford Valley Road, In the AM peak existing, you sit there for approximately 55.1 seconds. In the proposed condition, the delay improves to 36.4 seconds. In the midday, existing delay is 49.2 seconds, improves to 35.8 seconds in the proposed condition. And then finally, PM peak existing is 54.2 seconds, improves to 23.1 seconds. So as you can see, there is a nice improvement as far as the time that you will spend at each of these intersections versus what happens today. This next graphic is a spreadsheet that shows our current through end of project schedule. We're currently in final design. So as you can see here, fourth quarter of 2023, we anticipate being in final design through the end of the third quarter 2024. Plan on getting this project to a contractor in the October timeframe of next year. During that timeframe that we're completing final design, we will be finishing our right-of-way acquisition. There's 21 total properties impacted as part of this project. 2 of those being residential, 19 commercial. As I mentioned previously, there's the 1 full take, which is for the area that we're putting in the permanent stormwater basin. We'll also be looking to complete our utility relocation work and submit and obtain our NPDES permitting during the finishing out final design. Fourth quarter of 2024, we'll get a contractor on board and then anticipate to start construction in early 2025 with construction lasting 2 seasons. So these next couple graphics are our proposed construction staging. They're not approved at this point, so there is the opportunity to improve on these, which we continue to do with PennDOT's guidance. The point being that we're trying to minimize our impacts to the traveling public as much as possible. At this first stage, this is stage 1B. Stage 1A involves short-term removal of the channelized islands. So in the center of the intersection here with Lincoln Highway and North Oxford Valley Road, there are those channelized items which get removed as part of stage 1A, so the traffic can then drive on top of those. Southbound North Oxford Valley Road is reduced to a single through lane at South Buckstown Road and Central Avenue. So in order for us, we're doing widening on the west side of the north leg of North Oxford Valley Road. In addition to this corner down here, we need to drop one of the 2 through lanes to a single lane by the time you get to this intersection, carry it through the construction zone, and then down to this portion down here to the south. Because of the fact that we're doing some work on these corners, we need to reduce lanes in both directions on Lincoln Highway to a single lane through the construction zone. So as you approach from the west going east, you drop to a single lane through the construction zone and open back up to 2 lanes once you get past it. Similar in the westbound direction, we have to drop 2 lanes down to a single lane, carry that through, open it back up once you get through the construction zone. 2 other stages that aren't shown are stage 1C and D. Looking at this northern leg of North Oxford Valley Road, there's a need we're replacing the pavement in full through this stretch, so there'll be single lane reconstruction that'll go across the road. So those are not shown here, but the traffic patterns will be as shown with a single lane in the southbound direction, 2 lanes remaining in the northbound direction. Moving to the next stage, this is stage 2B. Again, 2A is full depth pavement replacement of the north leg of North Oxford Valley Road. So again, we have to finish out the widening of this piece of the road. So there'll be a single lane in here that has to get constructed before we move on to these widening areas that are to the east along this north leg of North Oxford Valley Road. We're also doing widening on the north side of Lincoln Highway. And similar to the previous stage, because of that widening, we have to reduce the westbound lanes to a single lane on Lincoln Highway through the construction zone. And as soon as we can, we open it up to 2 lanes and it continues as 2 lanes, which is similar to existing. The eastbound direction matches what's out there currently and will be during this stage, as will the southern portion of the project. No change to the traffic during the stage. Stage 2C and D. This one is eastbound Lincoln Highway is reduced to a single lane. So similar to the other stage where we were doing some work on the north side of Lincoln Highway, we switch and do work on the south side of Lincoln Highway, which requires us to drop this to a single lane through the construction zone, opening back up to 2 lanes. The westbound direction will match existing, so there'll be the 2 through lanes through the entire portion of the construction zone. And again, there's no change to this east-west leg of North Oxford Valley Road and Buckstown Road, I'm sorry, Bristol Oxford Valley Road and this little piece of North Oxford Valley Road. Stage 3 is our first short-term operation. So what I mean by short-term is it's something that the contractor can do at night. They would more than likely take one of the lanes that's next to the construction zone and have it back open by the morning commute. So in this stage, we're removing the existing islands on Lincoln Highway and then reconstructing the new ones. And again, the contractor will do what they can over in an overnight period and then put barrels back into their construction zone and open the lanes back open so that during the entire day, there wouldn't be any restrictions of lanes during this stage. Stage 4 is another short-term operation. This is where we're removing the existing median on the south leg of North Oxford Valley Road. So again, this will be nighttime work. Contractor would likely restrict around the construction zone and then have it back open by the morning. Before I jump into stage 5, I would say, and again, none of this is set in stone at this point. We're still working through our approval process on the traffic control. But I can tell you that stages 1 through 4 will likely be done as part of the first construction season, and then we'll shift to the south portion of the project where we're doing the majority of the realignment for Bristol Oxford Valley Road and Oxford Valley Road as it connects to Lincoln Highway. That would be done during the second construction season. So as you can see here, there's significant shapes of construction zones here. So again, we're going to be realigning Bristol Oxford Valley Road as it approaches Oxford Valley Road, and then Oxford Valley Road will get built as it approaches Lincoln Highway. The key point with this stage is that the northbound movement, so this piece here, anybody trying to go north to get to Lincoln Highway will have to be detoured. And that is because of grade differences and, just width differences. We're not able to provide enough room to have dual movements of traffic through this. So what happens in this stage on this east-west leg of North Oxford Valley Road, you have 2 lanes in the existing condition. In each case, you'll have a single lane through the construction zone. As I mentioned, Bristol Oxford Valley Road will not be able to go north at this point. They'll have to go right and then come down to Trenton Road and take the detour. Similar to anybody that wants to come on North Oxford Valley Road, they can't go right to get up to Lincoln Highway. They would only be able to go left and go down and follow the detour. This is the detour that we have in place. This is approximately a 2.5-mile detour. As I mentioned, this area here is where people cannot make the northbound movement. So anybody coming up North Oxford Valley Road would have to go down Bristol Oxford Valley Road, follow the detour around, as would people that want to go north on Bristol Oxford Valley Road. If they got to this point, they'd have to go right down Oxford Valley Road, turn right onto Trenton Road, follow the detour, which goes up Woodbourne, and then turns right back onto Lincoln Highway and takes you back to the North Oxford Valley Road Lincoln Highway intersection. Next stage is stage 6. This is again a long-term operation. By this point, we've already fully built out Lincoln Highway and the north leg of North Oxford Valley Road. We start to do, or we finish up our work for the reconfigured intersection. You can see here the reconfigured intersection, as far as the signalized portion of it, will be operational during this stage. It won't be to the full lane widths that we'll have in the full build out, but it will provide a signalized option here. If I zoom in on some of these here, coming up Bristol Oxford Valley Road, again, you have a single left turn lane and a through and a right. On North Oxford Valley Road, we do carry the 2 through lanes, similar to existing through the intersection up to Lincoln Highway. Wawa will have a temporary driveway during this stage while we construct the permanent driveways. And then the southern driveway, which is it's not fully built at this point, but this is the final location of it, minus some additional width, will be operational during this stage. And they'll also be providing access to the beer distributor. I should preface that by also saying that any commercial operation within the limits of the project will have access maintained through construction. So it will be on the contractor to provide or allow access at all times, regardless of whether it's in front of a construction zone or not. And the last thing that I'll point out on this stage is, even though we have the full width built on Lincoln Highway for this dedicated right turn lane that goes south, we have to barrel that off and not allow that to be accessed because of the work that we're doing on the corner. So the outside through lane will become a shared through right turn lane to get south. And then our final stage, this is stage 7. Again, this is a short-term operation where likely will be done at nighttime. You have northbound and southbound North Oxford Valley Road new median construction. You have new channelized islands construction in the middle of the intersection here. And then final paving, striping, and sign installation will occur. So if I zoom in on this to just let you see a little bit better. Again, this is construction of the final medians on North Oxford Valley Road, the pork chop islands in the middle here. And then, as I mentioned, full overlay, any final pavement markings and signing will be installed as part of this stage. And just to rehatch, stage 5 through 7, we anticipate would likely be in the second construction season. And as far as the detour timing or how long the detour would be in place, so that's during stage 5. I would anticipate that would be, go back to it here. So stage 5 is because of the prevention of the northbound movement. I would anticipate that this will at least be in place for 3-4 months possibly. This next slide is SEPTA Route 127, which runs through the project. So our project is located right here where my clicker is. You can see the route runs up Oxford Valley Road, goes north on Oxford Valley Road, turns left on the Buckstown Drive, and then goes into the mall. We have had some coordination with SEPTA since in the last week, and they have told us that there is a possibility this route will not be in operation as of 2025. They're still working through some detour or details with that. There's low ridership on this particular route. They did say that the route itself would not disappear. They would go to an on-demand route, and they're still working on the details of that as far as where those stops would be. But again, as long as this route is in place during construction, we'll make sure that we maintain all the bus stops that are out there. So I know there's a couple on this east-west leg of Oxford Valley Road, and I believe there's another one on this north leg of Oxford Valley Road. So we'll make sure that regardless of what we're doing with the traffic control, we maintain access to those bus stops. So with that, we're going to open it up to questions. If you have a question, like I mentioned earlier, please type it into the chat. My colleague, Brian Finkelstein, will be reading the comments, and we'll try to address as many as we can. Again, you can click on the Q&A at the top of your page and type it in. You also have the option, again, I posted the project webpage and also the comment form, which is on that webpage. If you either don't want to ask your question now or you have another question that you remember later, that form, if you fill it out and publish it or post it, it comes directly to my email and we'll reach out and get you an answer. So with that, I'm going to open it up to Brian Finkelstein to read the first question.
All right, thank you, Brian. So I'm going to go down some of these. Now, there are a couple that are kind of repeated, and I'm guessing that maybe some people were not here for the start of the presentation and maybe missed a couple of things. So Brian, when I asked the question, maybe just reiterate, I guess, a couple of slides and go back and just go over them.
Sure.
So the first question is, how many construction seasons will the project take?
Okay, Brian, so you published that one? There you go.
Yep,
so I think if I go back,
I'm not going to go through every question that has scheduling. So we just kind of go through that whole schedule question. So I'm not ignoring your questions.
Right. So this is on.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
This is on slide 13. So just to rehash this again, we anticipate that this project will be over 2 construction seasons. We anticipate construction starting in early 2025, lasting through at least October timeframe, depending on weather. Sometimes that can last longer, depending on what the contractor needs. So we anticipate that construction will last for 2 construction seasons.
Okay, thank you. I would basically be starting really the beginning of 2025 and ending at the end of 2026.
Correct.
Okay, the next question, and I know you had mentioned that I think that there's a link to the slides.
Yeah.
In the chat, but I guess there's a question regarding if there's a recording of this meeting.
Yes, this presentation is being recorded and will be posted to the project webpage. So in addition to the materials that are presented during this time, like I said, this presentation is also being recorded, so you can rewatch it at your leisure.
Thank you. Let's see. The next question is regarding the delay that you had posted at the intersections. Why can't we do away with the delay? I guess in its entirety.
Why can't we? I guess I'm going to throw that to Brian Keaveney, if you could help out with regarding the delay that we have. I mean, the reason we can't get rid of delay, and Brian, please correct me if I'm wrong, it's the amount of traffic we have. So we're trying to optimize our signals to move traffic around as best as possible. The only way that we could get rid of delay is if we basically got rid of the traffic.
I think that's a good summary, Brian. So what I would add to that discussion is the fact that, as you explained earlier, the delay that we're reporting is the average delay per vehicle that goes through the intersection. So multiplied by several thousand vehicles, almost over 4,000 during for example, the weekday afternoon peak hour. The reduction in delay is substantial here when looked at over the volume of the total number of cars through the intersection. And what this represents is the fact that although many cars may free flow through these intersections, there will be some cars stopped simply due to the nature of traffic signals always having one red phase. So some traffic will be stopped, whether it's on the minor approach or major approach or in the left turn lanes at some point in time. And that's what this average delay is a reflection of.
Thank you, Brian.
Okay, so the next question is, what are the residences that will be affected? Is it eminent domain or something else? So I'll publish that.
So I will go back to our overall graphic and try to show you exactly the parcels. So again, we have a parcel in the middle here. Eminent domain is typically done when somebody is opposed to the taking. So I can tell you, we're in the right-of-way acquisition phase at this point. We have bi-weekly, I believe, meetings, possibly monthly, for updates. PennDOT's right-of-way negotiators are in contact with us at all times. They approach the property owners, and they try to come to a mutual agreement. So PennDOT will provide an offer letter, and then there's a negotiation process. Eminent domain, for the most part, and correct me if I'm wrong, anybody, but is if somebody is opposed to it and not willing to meet in the middle, if you will. So at this point, I'm not aware of any eminent domain needs on this project. Everything has been amicable up to this point. I will preface that by saying the most of the takes on this project are strip takes. So we had this project had actually progressed in prior years, many years ago, had gotten very close to being constructed. It was developed as a metric project. We got it back and put it into English units, and that's where we're at today. A lot of the right-of-way for the majority of the right-of-way was taken previously. We have to do, again, some strip takes because we added pedestrian facilities, the sidewalks, the ADA curb ramps. And then there's also this rework of what we're doing in front of the Wawa and beer distributor and the full take of the stormwater basin in the center there. So at this point, I'll say that everything that we've been doing right-of-way negotiation, or PennDOT has been doing right-of-way negotiation wise, has been amicable to this point.
Thank you, Brian. The next question is about access to and from Center Street for the residents. Asking if there will be medians preventing left-hand turns in and out of Center Street. Will emergency response vehicles be able to access Center Street from either direction without being impeded by medians and traffic blocking the street? Will there be a dual left turn lanes? Dual left turn lanes for residents of Center Street and Oxford crossing Liberty Drive? And will it be do not block the box painted on North Oxford Valley so that the traffic is not constantly backing up from the new light blocking the entrance and exit of Center Street? I'll publish that. So it's kind of a lot of questions in one there.
I'm going to zoom down so I can see the question. So Center Street. I believe Center Street is up here at the top, correct? Is that the location that we're talking about?
No, Center Street is just south of the new signalized intersection.
Sorry.
Yeah, right there.
This location here.
Yeah, it's almost right across from Liberty Drive, but it's a little offset from it. So
it's on the other side of the street from where you just pointed, Brian. It's a very, very small road that, nope, your hand, you can't even barely see it. It's the two property lines. There's property lines. Yeah, there you go. That's Center Street. So I think that was from the traffic control staging. You kept that pretty much open.
Correct.
I mean, you would keep access to it at all times in your staging, but.
That's correct. And I guess is the question asking if we're going to be putting in permanent medians there. There's no, at this point, our design does not involve medians in that location. So you can see here, if I zoom in, I think I'm already zoomed in, but we have some hatching in there to separate the left turn lane into this development down here. But no, there will not be any permanent medians there to prevent people from lefts. I don't see that anybody would try to make that left. I mean, maybe somebody would, but because we have that left turn lane going into this site down here to the south, they'd have to go across the bunch of lanes illegally to make that left. Second part, I guess. What's the second part? Will there be dual turning lane for residents? I think this might be this will probably be a question that we'll have to get back to you. If you could fill out the online form for us with your contact information, we can certainly get back to you in more detail. I don't want to hold up everybody with not having the exact answer for you right now. but we can certainly look into this and get back to you with a specific answer.
So the next question is regarding Terrace Road, which is,
I go to the detour, that's that on the detour route.
yeah, it's on Bristol Oxford Valley Road. It's south of Wawa.
So it's this road here.
Right. So the question is that Terrace Road in Twin Oaks is already a major cut through for unwanted traffic, which the police do nothing about, ignoring complaints of excessive speeding and stop signs. Will there be an emphasis on making sure this is controlled, considering once this project starts, it is only going to get worse?
I guess during construction, what we'll do is we'll, have signs up there that we can't necessarily prevent people from making that movement. If it's local traffic or whatever, they're going to know that that is possibly a cut through. We'll definitely put up signage to help prevent that. We can also, I guess, work with the local police to police it, to make sure that there's no cut throughs or, excessive speeding or whatnot. There may be an opportunity to put temporary safety measures, speed bumps or something in there that, will make people's lives a little bit not fun, if you will, during construction. I don't know if the residents, we'd have to coordinate with the residents whether that's something that they'd be interested in. So I would say we'll do everything we can within our power to sign it as not a throughway, but there really is no way to prevent that as a cut through.
Okay, thank you.
All right, did you post that question?
I did, yes.
Okay, there it is.
Yeah, sorry about that. I think I'd come up and publish this. The next question is just regarding the overall traffic during construction, especially on the southern half of the project. Should people just avoid the intersection altogether, or is there any other way to get around?
I think, as part of our due diligence with the traffic control, we will be recommending, advanced warning signage, flashing message signs that warn the public to probably avoid the area if possible. Beyond that, I don't think that we would recommend any alternate routes beyond what's on the detour itself. But we can, again, post signs and flashing message signs that warn the public that you're going to be entering a very heavily congested area during construction. And particularly during that, like you said, the southern construction portion of the project, that there's, particularly during that detour, it's not gonna be great. But again, we're still working through traffic control, trying to see if there's anything we can do by, at a minimum, keeping existing lanes that are out there. During stage 5, I don't think there is any way, because of the width and vertical differences that are part of the construction of that realigned intersection, to make it work. It's just a very difficult, tight area. So there will be at least some portion of this traffic control that's not going to be, that's going to not be great. Let's just put it that way.
The next question, will the right turn lane from southbound Oxford Valley Road onto Bristol Oxford Valley Road at the newly realigned intersection have a green right arrow in the 5-section doghouse style signal acting in tandem with the northbound double left turn lane? So I'll publish that so you can read it.
The right turn lane from southbound Oxford Valley Road onto Bristol Oxford Valley Road. So this is this turn movement here. I guess Brian Keaveney, do you know if this will get?
Yes, Brian. So the intent is to have that overlap phase implemented at this intersection to move right turning traffic around that corner while the left turn is turning from Bristol Oxford Valley Road onto North Oxford Valley Road. So the answer is yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Next question is, will sidewalks be fully installed along the new road? Currently, that intersection is not walkable, and the only sidewalks are in front of Wawa and Patient First. This area could and should be much more walkable.
I'll go back to one of our first graphics and try to zoom in a little bit here. So again, the orange shape represents new sidewalk. So at least on the north leg of Lincoln Highway here, you can see through the curb return, we're adding new sidewalk. There's sidewalk here that on the northeast quad that gets added as part of the project, in addition to some stretches here. There's already some existing sidewalk that's in front of this southeast quad that we're connecting into and carrying that down to the new signalized intersection. And then there's a bunch of sidewalk that gets added on the realigned Bristol-Oxford Valley Road on both sides. Also some stuff that happens in front of the Wawa and all around this southwest quad also. So there is a significant improvement as far as connectivity for pedestrians with this project.
Thank you. Next question is asking why not put a drainage area in the empty lot that is where the old McDonald's was? That's
Sure, I can take that, Brian. I'm
problem.
here as the stormwater designer. So that's the on, I guess, the northeast side there, just above where we're talking. Yep, that's the one. It was originally targeted for there, and we were designing and did site testing, and the elevations do not allow it because the tie-in point of the drainage channel that actually goes through the area was not low enough. So we did not use that. We were hoping to, and have multiple features there to help with to offset permitting requirements. But due to that low connection point, we had to pull back on that and use this single location, which will actually be less tax dollars in the long run to maintain having just one location anyway. So I think it'll be a good thing.
Thank you, Susan.
Next question is asking if there is a way to get a list of properties, both residential and commercial, that will be affected.
I would need to check with PennDOT on whether that we would be able to provide that information. So similar to one of the previous questions, if you could post that in the official online form, provide your information, I can get back to you with an answer on that.
Next question here. With the volume of traffic now, how will you deal with traffic backing up with the new traffic light intersection up through the Route 1 intersection?
Brian Keating, can you take that one? If you can.
Sure. So I think we're talking about that link between the intersections and looking at the forecast future volumes and the anticipated signal operation. We do predict that the queue lengths will stay within the two intersections and not spill back between them. Additionally, I would add to the earlier comment about Center Street, in looking at the queuing or the stacking that occurs in the current condition on that approach on your graphic, Brian. So from the bottom right, heading up North Oxford Valley Road, that queue, once this realignment is done and the signals installed, should reduce fairly substantially. So today it looks like it's probably a 500 to 600 foot queue on average, and once the realigned configuration and the signal goes in, that queue is anticipated to go down to less than 400 feet, which will be less than the distance from Center Street up to the traffic signal.
It'd be almost broader sense. This is I would say this is approximately 400 feet.
Yes.
So it would be that, like Bryce said, that queue would not extend over the road. Thanks, Brian.
Thank you. Let's see, the next question is trying to make sure I don't miss any here. Just another question regarding the Twin Oaks residence, which I believe is off of Terrace Road. Questioning the need to get out, questioning the need for and the need for the new traffic signal at Bristol Oxford Valley Road as that's requirement, and then removing left turn access from North Oxford Valley Road to Bristol Oxford Valley Road. We can't turn left on Woodburn. I'll post that here so you can kind of read the whole question.
I would say I'm not exactly sure how to answer that one. Again, if you could post that online for us, we can get back to you. Please provide your information so we can specifically reach out to you and investigate your question.
Thank you. Will Woodburn Road and Trenton Road traffic light be modified to deal with additional traffic from the detour? What's that one? I thought I did.
So as part of the detour route, we will analyze the existing signals that are part of the detour route and make sure that they're optimized. If there's any improvements that need to happen along the detour route while this is in place, that would be part of our project.
Thank you. Will you work with Waze to make sure that automated routing is not directing traffic to closed/board legs?
I don't know if I can answer that question. I'm not familiar with working with Waze, but we can certainly look into it. Provide, the detour route, like you're saying, so that you're not utilizing some GPS that's taking you down a closed route.
Yeah, I know typically when I use my phone for the maps, if the road is closed, typically it will not take you that route. It'll know that it's closed. But I'm not sure exactly how that works, or
Yeah,
anyone has to consult them
I
on
don't
that.
really know how they get that information, so I guess we'll do everything we can on our side to make sure that it's public knowledge of the closed roads.
I say yes. Ryan?
Okay.
The next question is asking if a 5-point style intersection is being considered instead. Traffic at the new light will back up through Route 1.
So I assume that this is a question for the main intersection. Five-point intersection. I'm not exactly sure if I understand what would be the fifth leg.
Ryan, I can take a shot at that. If I'm reading it correctly, the question may be why doesn't Bristol Oxford Valley and North Oxford Valley come in on the south as two separate legs so that it'd be a 5-point intersection? So traditionally, intersections that have existed that way have been much less efficient because the fifth leg requires a completely separate traffic signal phase set of green, yellow, red time, which dramatically, increases the queue on the other approaches. So by its nature, a 5-leg intersection, particularly one with the volumes that we see here, will be less efficient than the proposed 4-leg intersection. The The other aspect to consider here is that the realignment will increase the space between the intersections. As I mentioned before, that will assist in providing storage in there to queue vehicles between the intersections and try and minimize the impact that one has on the other. So that's the intent. So both intersections are going to operate as more conventionally configured and aligned intersections. All the movements will be clearly accounted for and ordered through the signal. So we think that this configuration is safer and much more efficient than a 5-leg would be.
Thanks, Brian.
The next question is actually just asking, I guess, the origins of the project as to who initially approved it and maybe just go over why the project was needed altogether.
Well, to touch base on, I mean, obviously there's traffic issues out here. That's one of the main reasons why the project was developed. And again, this project literally goes back 20 years. Traffic has probably gotten worse over the years from what it used to be, but the main reason for the project need was traffic congestion.
The next question is essentially asking, would it make sense to close the entire intersection and build a project in one season as quickly as possible to try to limit impacts as best as we can?
That's a tough question. I think you would get people that would be for that and people against it. So it's kind of like, where do you meet in the middle? Who would end up, obviously PennDOT would have to make that decision. Does it make sense to get everything done in one construction season and shut everything down? At this point, I would say that's probably not doable. But we are continuing to look at the traffic control, and it's certainly a question we can review with PennDOT if that's even an option. I mean, that would really, the problem with that would be, as I can see it, is this is a mostly commercial district, if you will, a lot of commercial businesses through here, and to shut everything down, but then still allow access without, having a permanent driving facility, if you will. So the lanes that we're going to keep open, it would be very tough. It would be a very tough sell to make that happen. I don't disagree that getting this done sooner would be good, but I think there's some things that are restrictive and wouldn't allow that to happen, where you could just shut everything down and get it all done at once. Contractor would definitely need a full construction season, even if they did that. There's a lot of work that has to happen out here. But we certainly can take that back to PennDOT and ask them. My guess is that it's not an option, but we'll certainly ask the question.
Next question is asking if a roundabout was considered where the stop sign currently is, so at the unsignalized T intersection.
Right. We haven't evaluated either intersection for roundabouts, as both would require multi-lane roundabouts. And I can tell you that the department has seen tremendous safety benefits on single lane roundabouts, but they've taken a more conservative approach for the conversion of signalized intersections to multi-lane roundabouts. I know in other parts of the state, you do see a lot of multi-lane roundabouts. In this district, there will be more that you'll likely see coming on board within the greater Philadelphia region, but mostly like isolated to intersections or part of longer corridor projects as the population becomes more familiar with how to navigate through the roundabouts. We did do, I can tell you that we did do a cursory review of a roundabout at the Lincoln Highway and Oxford Valley Road intersection. It was a multi-lane. We looked at it multi-lanes, and just because of the sheer amount of traffic that in the design year or full build year, if you will. All legs but one are failing. So there's just so much traffic through here, and trying to have people coming from all directions. A lot of the roundabouts work better when you have a high amount of traffic in one direction and the second leg has less traffic, but we don't have that in this situation, particularly at the main intersection. And again, at the newly signalized intersection, we would still need to have a multi-lane there. But at this point, like I said, the district is a little bit conservative on going to multi-lane roundabouts at this point.
Thank you. Next question is, will there be any kind of public approval or vote that the residents can participate in for the project?
Well, I think that this format here that we have is your opportunity to express your concerns, express your likes. Please utilize that online form that gets memorialized into the CE document. So we have had a previously approved environmental document as part of the project, but because of some changes that you see here, we are reevaluating the CE. So the comments that we received as part of this meeting will be included with that reapproval.
Okay. That's actually it. I don't have any further questions at this time.
It's almost perfect. We're getting towards the end of our 1 hour here. So I'll move forward in my. So just to summarize here, I just want to say that please utilize the online website and form for any additional comments that anybody has. If anything comes up, please reach out to us. We'll get back to you directly as long as you provide your information. That project website should be up and running for a while at least, so that you can keep up to date on any changes. Anything that comes about with the project, we'll post to that site. And then on behalf of PennDOT and the project team, I want to thank everybody for your time and input. Please feel free to reach out to myself or either Josephina if you have any questions or concerns as the project progresses. And with that, I'll say thank you, everybody, and good night.